Good afternoon and welcome to the July 15th, 2024 regularly scheduled meeting of the Orlando City Council. We are going to begin today's proceedings with the invocation, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance led today by Commissioner Patty Sheehan.
Thank you, Mayor Dyer. And excuse me, I got a little bit of a cold, but today I'll be reading a quote from James Baldwin. The longer I live, the more deeply I learn that love, whether we call it friendship or family or romance, is the work of mirroring and magnifying each other's light. Gentle work, steadfast work, life-saving work in those moments when life and shame and sorrow occlude our own light from our view, but there is still a clear-eyed, loving person to beam it back. In our best moments, we are that person for one another. James Baldwin. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'm going to call the meeting to order. Madam Clerk, would you call the roll and make a determination of quorum, please?
Commissioner Gray?
Here.
Commissioner Ortiz? Commissioner Stewart?
Here.
Commissioner Sheehan?
here.
Interim Commissioner Rose? Here. Commissioner Burns?
Present.
Mayor Dyer?
Here.
Mayor, you have quorum.
Okay, first item of business is consideration of the minutes from the agenda review and city council meetings
Second.
of June the 10th and June 24th. Motion by Commissioner Sheehan, second by Commissioner Burns. All in favor indicate so by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, and so the motion carries. Okay, obviously this weekend there was some pretty traumatic activity at a political event, and as we begin today's meeting, I would like to remind us as a city council that we need to denounce political violence and dangerous political rhetoric, and that we should be relieved that former President Trump was not seriously injured on Saturday, and we're saddened that an individual was killed during that event and others that were injured. And as Americans, when it comes to politics and government, our views do not always align. And we can and must agree, however, that respect and personal attacks we should be respectful and cease the personal attacks and never let differing viewpoints lead to hatred or to violence. And if we can all take a step back, we know that there's much more that unites us as Americans than divides us as Americans. And there's no question that we're stronger together. Our country is stronger when we're united, and I hope that Orlando will always continue to showcase that every day we come through with our unity, compassion, and work to put inclusion first. And I want to personally thank each of the city commissioners here who have always conducted yourselves with courtesy and civility, even during general appearances, which sometimes is very hard to do. And I think that we can show, even though we have differing opinions on a lot of different events, it usually would be hard to pick out who's the Democrats and who's the Republicans up here. And we all share the common interest, which is to do the best job that we can for the city of Orlando. So thank you. Congressman Frost is on this agenda to deliver some funding agreements, and obviously with change in circumstances, he was not able to leave DC, so he won't be in attendance at this meeting. Okay, let's go to awards, presentations, and recognitions. So as I mentioned, the first one, we will do it another time. And numbers 2 and 3, the City of Orlando has been an active and proud member of the Florida League of Cities for many years. For more than 100 years, the League of Cities has been a champion for Florida's now more than 400 cities, towns, and villages. And our own Commissioner Tony Ortiz is a recent past president of the organization, and Commissioner Stewart has been a long-serving member of the board of directors. So with us today from the Florida League of Cities is Mr. Chris Hawley. He is the League's Director of Member Services and Training, and he has a couple of recognitions to make today. Mr. Hawley, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you. There we go, hot mic. I got a loud voice, so I can do it that way if we prefer. Thank you, Mayor, Commissioners. It is my honor to be here today, and as the Mayor said, my name is Chris Hawley with the Florida League of Cities, who has been the united voice for Florida's municipalities, which now we have 411, just for everyone's knowledge, cities, towns, and villages across the great state of Florida. The League's mission has remained the same since its beginning, and that's to protect local decision-making, which allows local voices to make local choices and allow each of you to govern your community as you best see fit. I want to thank the City of Orlando for being an active and dedicated member, as you said, Mayor, Commissioner Tony Ortiz, and Commissioner Robert Stewart for serving on our board of directors. And it's leaders like them and you all that keep us headed in a positive direction. Well, I'm here today because it is my honor to present Mayor Buddy Dyer and Commissioner Patty Sheehan with the John Land Years of Service Award for their 20-plus years of service to the City of Orlando. The John Land Years of Service Award was named in honor of the Apopka mayor, John Land, who served his city for more than 60 years. The award honors elected municipal officials like Mayor Dyer and Commissioner Sheehan for their extensive years of dedicated public service. Before I read the resolution, I want to thank you both for your unwavering dedication to serving your community. One of the resolution's lines states that local government is the government closest to the people. And as you talked about serving your community, there is no conservative or liberal way to best fill a pothole, collect your waste, or protect your community. At this time, I will now read the resolution that I'm here to present. A resolution of the Board of Directors of the Florida League of Cities honoring each of you, and you have your own, with the John Land Years of Service Award in recognition of your unselfish commitment to municipal leadership and governance. Whereas America's municipal governments have long relied upon the unselfish leadership of their citizens for local self-government, and Florida's municipal governments share the time-honored role as the level of government closest to the people. This reliance places extraordinary responsibilities upon citizen legislators, municipal elected officials, who make significant sacrifices of their time and energies on behalf of their citizenry, making this a commitment and a true labor of love. And whereas municipal leaders strive for excellence in the governance of their cities, towns, or village, and commit themselves to providing quality service, governing effectively, and working to improve the quality of life. And whereas the League has named its Years of Service recognition in honor of John Land, the mayor of Apopka, between the years of 1949 and 2014, a leader whose dedication is unsurpassed at the national and state levels, and who modeled the way for decades of municipal leaders. This is one of my favorite lines in this entire resolution. Whereas several terms in office are a high compliment voters give to an official, and where these years of experience comes a strengthening of wisdom, discernment, and strong leadership skills that bring tremendous value to municipal governments of Florida. And whereas Buddy Dyer and Patty Sheehan have held the office in the City of Orlando for more than 20 years and recognized for this achievement, therefore be it resolved by the Board of Directors of the Florida League of Cities that you both are commended for your dedication to the City of Orlando and is hereby recognized as an outstanding public servant in Florida, adopted by the Board of Directors assembled in January 2024. I want to thank you both on behalf of the Florida League of Cities, your citizens, and the citizens of Florida. Thank you. Yeah, good call. So these are... very wise.
Doesn't even look 20 years old. Okay, let's move into the mayor's update. Poltz Memorial Advisory Committee. On a general update, many of the members of our community have expressed interest in providing feedback as we go through the effort of creating a permanent Poltz Memorial. So later this month, there'll be an open house to help inform our recently formed Poltz Memorial Advisory Committee. The open house will allow the community to provide input into the design. It'll be held on Thursday, July 25th from 6 to 8 at the Kia Center. The committee includes family members of the victims, survivors, and community stakeholders. They will lead a collaborative approach to creation of the memorial. If you want to learn more, visit poltzorlando.org. Our community recently lost a champion for inclusion and opportunity with the passing of Inez Long. She was the president and CEO of the Black Business Investment Fund for many years. She's a dedicated partner with the City of Orlando, working to help Black-owned businesses launch, thrive, and grow. We send our condolences to her family and friends and colleagues. Okay, three items from our agenda today. J1 is our Forward Orlando Safe Streets. We're working every day to make sure that Orlando is safer for pedestrians and cyclists and all people traveling. And to support this work, we're the recipient of a more than $3 million grant from the federal government. Funding will help our transportation team launch Forward, focusing on resilient walkways, rethinking design, and will help us transform some of the high-need areas for pedestrian safety. Secondly, we're getting nice grants from a lot of different places. So B8 is the Bloomberg Public Art Challenge. We're awarding a nationally renowned artist, Juan William Chavez, as the principal artist for the Bloomberg Public Art Challenge titled Art Pollination, Building Food Justice Through Creativity. He will create a temporary public art installations throughout our downtown to engage local artists and farmers to raise awareness about food insecurity. And then the last one I want to mention is maybe the most important, and that's our proposed millage rate, which for the 11th year in a row will remain the same, and it's through good financial stewardship that we're able to do that. Okay, with that, we'll move on to the consent agenda, and the consent agenda is a number of items that are acted upon through a single vote of council. We give each of our council members the opportunity to comment on the consent agenda and update you with important happenings from their districts. We rotate the order that we do that, and today Commissioner Sheehan is first up. Commissioner.
Thank you, Mayor Dyer, and congratulations on your 22.
And you too.
Thank you. I got 24 though, just saying.
Okay.
Thank you so much, and it's an honor to serve, and I thank the residents of District 4 for their confidence in me, and it's been the hardest job I've ever loved, so thank you so much. And I just have a couple things because I'm not feeling well, and I don't want to push my voice very much, but just wanted to say that I have been working with Sierra Club and many concerned residents over OUC net metering of solar. I believe in renewable energy. I'm probably the only elected official who actually has solar. I'm actually going the next level and getting solar batteries because it is an efficient, decent, great way for us to deal with energy needs in the future. And I'm very concerned about what OUC is putting forward in terms of this peak shift. They've kind of come off of doing away with net metering, which is only fair. If someone's made the investment of getting solar panels, they should be properly compensated for what they have generated and what they're putting into the grid. My next concern, though, is this peak shift, which is trying to get people to change their energy habits. My elderly mother was on Medicare at the end and was on an oxygen machine, and that oxygen machine created a lot of heat. So she had to run her air conditioner a lot more in order to compensate for that. And I'm very concerned about peak shift and how it is going to impact elderly residents and people who have to use life-saving devices. So I call it surge pricing. I wanted to let the other commissioners know I appreciate your concern about net metering, but I'm also concerned about putting the least vulnerable in a state where they cannot afford their utility bills. And even though OUC has a board of governors, I think as a municipal-owned utility, we need to be really concerned about how these issues impact our citizens. And I'm glad to see that OUC has seemed to come off of punishing people for providing solar energy, which made absolutely no sense to me. But I'm still going to be very vigilant. I'm working with a lot of different organizations because we need to be having more renewable energy. Renewable energy is not a problem. Renewable energy is not competition. Renewable energy is us providing energy into the grid, and it should not be perceived as a problem. And we should also be looking for grant opportunities. And I really strongly suggest OUC also look into federal dollars that's available to put on affordable housing. Because if we could put solar panels on affordable housing and reduce the bills for the most needy, this is a very good thing for us to be doing in terms of leadership, in terms of truly being sustainable and doing the right thing. Mayor, thank you for all your work, and Heather and all the staff on getting a Pulse Memorial Committee. I know it has not been an easy task, and I know some folks were disappointed that they were not chosen for the committee, but there still will be many, many opportunities for input, and I encourage anyone who wants to participate, please do. There was over 150 applications for, I think, 18 slots, so we couldn't include everybody, but there is still opportunities for input, and I would please encourage anybody, don't get upset, don't get mad, get involved, and come to the meetings, and please put your input in. I'm disappointed that Congressman Frost couldn't be here today, but I really want to congratulate and thank him so much for his commitment to safe streets and gunshot safety and everything that he's been working on. I mean, he's just been doing an amazing job, and can't wait to actually spend some time with him and thank him in person. But a lot of the initiatives that he came to speak with me about are things that he's been working on, and not just working on, accomplishing in Washington. He's been just doing a great job. I too am very happy to see on item B8 that we've actually picked a Guggenheim Fellow in Fine Arts, Juan William Chavez, to do this project, and I'm really looking forward to it. Also happy to see that we're holding the millage rate at the same level that we have. It's not easy sometimes to provide municipal services when costs are going up, but we have a great staff, and they've been doing an amazing job to make sure that we've got enough resources to pay our bills, basically. And that's all I had, Mayor. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Commissioner. We'll move on to Commissioner Rose.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us. Congratulations to Mayor Dyer and Commissioner Sheehan on your service. Look forward to getting those amount of years as well. My first 3 weeks here at the city have been really busy as I spend time with the city departments, the businesses, the residents, and the community partners of this district. I want to encourage anyone who would like to reach out to me to contact my office by email, shan.rose@orlando.gov, or you can call the office at 407-246-3014. I want to thank everyone who attended our first district vision and listening session this past Thursday, both in person and virtually. We are currently organizing the input from those who participated, and we will work to address concerns brought to our attention. I want to encourage everyone to follow the Facebook page to get relevant information and events that are taking place in the district. So, as a Paramore resident and What I would say is, and as the commissioner now, Paramore community is changing, and no one can deny what that looks like, and no one can say that it's not happening. So it's important that we preserve and record our history. My office is currently working with UCF and the Economic Development Department on a potential MOU to expand the archives of Paramore. There's a program, UCF Riches, that has been taking place, and they've been doing storytelling, and what we want to do is we want to expand upon that, and we want to make sure we hear from everyone in the community to give their input on what Paramore was, share their memories so that we have a collective opportunity for the future generations to understand what happened in Paramore and where we're going. Stay tuned for details, because we will look from community input. We will start doing listening sessions and community meetings to get information. We will information share. One of the other things is that I want to encourage individuals to turn in photos and capture moments that they've captured of what Paramore was. I met with staff, and there will be more historical markers that will be placed around the community, and so please look forward to announcements. So the historical markers have a few moving parts and pieces. The larger ones go through the Department of State, and what ends up happening is we have to verify all the information that's provided. We do have some buildings that are still standing, so we'll look to memorialize that. And so that's the goal, is memorializing Paramore, as well as we'll move into the district to other areas so that we can hold on to the history of District 5. I am working with the procurement and MWB office, and hopefully Commissioner Burns, to host a community meeting to discuss upcoming bids that are coming up. The goal is to help everyone to participate. The small businesses who want to know what's happening, as well as we'll host subsequent workshops for small businesses who want to know how to become suppliers and vendors for the city of Orlando. And so we will be working through that, and our offices will be working together. Look out for more information again. Follow us on Facebook. As far as agenda items, I too am sad that Congressman Maxwell Frost is not here, because I had a whole agenda today. I had about 4 meetings scheduled with him. So for those who don't know, we stood right here at the City Hall steps sometime last year to pitch the Office of Gun Violence Prevention. And so out of that office, a lot of great things are coming, including the funding for the CVI building, as well as we worked on creating safer streets. So look forward to him returning home and us hosting those events. As far as A1, I'm extremely excited about the Alliance for Sustainability Energy contract. This grant will allow several properties in the Paramore community to receive upgrades to become energy efficient, and it will ultimately allow us to create a long-term plan on ways that we can make the rest of the community energy efficient, understanding that many lived on fixed incomes within the community. Almost done, Mayor. H2, I want to thank OPD for their partnership with iDignity. For those who don't know what iDignity is, it's a nonprofit organization that serves individuals and helps them to get their documents to get IDs, and IDs are very important, so I want to thank OPD for that partnership. There will be several back-to-school backpack giveaways within the district before school returns on August 12th, so I'm asking everyone to follow us on the Facebook page for more information, and then subscribe to our newsletter. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Burns?
All right. Thank you, Mayor. Good afternoon, everyone. Mayor, I'd just like to echo your sentiments that you expressed about the civility and leadership of this council. And I do continue to look forward to working with this body in a unified approach to truly addressing the needs of our residents. Also, Mayor Dyer, Commissioner Sheehan, congratulations on receiving the John Land Years of Service. And it's amazing that Mayor Land served for 60 years. So, Mayor, you got another 35 or 40 in you.
I'm only a third of the way there.
Yeah, so thank you for your leadership and all that you've done for our city over these years. Also, I'd just like to acknowledge that we have 10 District 6 residents who will be participating in the Mayor's City Academy. That's exciting for me, because I love to see our residents become engaged and interested. Now, what tends to happen also, the questions that I receive from the residents get a little tougher, but that's fine. It keeps me on my toes. So thank you, Mayor, for continuing that. A few agenda items. A2, I'd like to say thank you to the residents who've agreed to volunteer their time for the various citizens advisory boards. They help us to move our city forward. Also, I'd like this F1. like to say thank you to Orrin and his team, the Housing Department, for the city's annual HUD Annual Action Plan for housing and homelessness, and for the allocation of our HUD dollars. And also, I'm excited again about the J1, the U.S. Department of Transportation grant for the Safe Streets and Roads. Just a few upcoming events. Our next District 6 mobile satellite office hours will be held Wednesday, July 24th at the L. Claudia Allen Senior Center from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. Please call my office to schedule an appointment. And this is the time we initiated these mobile hours so our residents don't have to come all the way downtown to City Hall to meet with their commissioner. So again, if you want to meet with myself and my team, July 24th from 10 a.m. to 4. Also, a couple of back-to-school events, Saturday, July 27th from 10 a.m. Until supplies last, while supplies last at the Grand Avenue Neighborhood Center. And then the following day, on July 28th, 1 p.m. at the Dr. James R. Smith Center. So both events will be sponsored by my office in partnership with Orlando Magic, Cole Anthony, and several other community partners. So please come out, participate. We're accepting volunteers as well as donations. So we're excited about that. Also, last thing is we're planning for our iDrive Business Roundtable. Will happen on Thursday, August 15th. From 11:30 a.m. to 1 p.m. This event is a joint effort between myself and the District 6 County Commissioner, Commissioner Scott, to engage the businesses along that corridor and see how we can continue to move the city and the county forward in a unified manner. So, Mayor, that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Gray.
Thank you, Mayor. I've got a couple quick updates. First of all, at the end of June, on the 26th, I attended a meeting out at the airport with the GOA staff, along with some other community leaders. Certainly, the mayor represents us on not only the board, but does an excellent job motivating our new visitors with his recording that you get to hear on the shuttle coming in. If you want some fun, just watch people's reaction to hear that recording. That's always a good time. But look, a lot of us travel and a lot of us hear things. The airport has some challenges. We know that. It's everything from on-site parking, trying to figure out how to get Sunrail into the airport, how to as I said, build more parking garages, renovate some of the terminals. All I want to share with you is they're aware of the challenges. Challenges take time and money to fix. And so just from my seat here, the fact that it's in District 1, I just want you to know that they're aware of the challenges and they're trying to fix those. The good news is those challenges are because people are coming to Central Florida, and we've got a lot of both business as well as tourism travel. So it's a good problem to have, but it's a big problem, and I just wanted you to know that they're aware of it and working on it. The second thing I wanted to share is last week I had a meeting with the staff here as well as the design build contractor for our Southeast Government Center, which will be down in the Lake Nona area. We will be breaking ground in the next 45 days. And if I've got to have a shovel doing it myself, we are going to break ground in 45 days. But good news, we're finishing the plans, getting it priced, and we hope to get it started and built within the year. So hopefully around this time next year, we'll have a grand opening and have certainly a new library, a government center with some basic services for the folks in the Southeast, as well as a new police substation. So it's exciting news in Lake Nona. So with that, Mayor, I will yield to Mr. Ortiz.
Commissioner Ortiz.
Thank you, Mayor. Mayor, let me say congratulations on Commissioner Sheehan. And as I said before, it doesn't mean you guys are old. It just means that you guys have been serving well for a long time. So, and once again, I did it once and I'm going to do it again. Thank you, because you yielded your seat a long time ago for me to represent the city, your seat, and I was given the opportunity to represent the state. Is because of you sharing that opportunity with me, and I'm forever grateful. And Florida League of Cities, for those of you that don't know enough about the Florida League of Cities, is the Casper of the organizations, is the friendly ghost that is there to help us to defend home rule, and nobody knows about it. We have approximately 2,270 municipal elected officials. That's a lot of people, 2,270 in 411 municipalities. And we go to Tallahassee and we go to Washington, and we fight for the rights of our people, because that's what we do. We represent our people. So being recognized by the Florida League of Cities is a big thing. So congratulations to both of you. Thank you. Moving along, Commissioner, when you talk about parking, something I've noticed, because I go and pick up a lot of people at the airport, is that most people don't know where the parking lots are. That's the big issue, because when I go to the parking lots, they're empty for the most part, and they're pretty close to the departure and arrival entrances or whatnot. So I wonder sometimes how come people are lined up along the road instead of going to those parking spaces where you have also a Wi-Fi or whatnot. So I think we have to do a better job in basically signaling for people to go to the parking spaces, and it'll probably save us.
I'm on it. I'm on it, sir.
Thank you, boys. Appreciate it. I have a few announcements. Before I forget, B12, item B12, I know that we're trying to issue some bonds to recover some monies to pay for some of the issues, the things we're doing. Please, 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 let's not forget about Azalea Park Little League baseball fields. I know that it's not on the list. Let's put it in there, because we've been fighting for this for over 12 years. There's about 4 baseball fields that and they belong right now to Orange County School Board. We've been trying to get those from them so we can maintain them and make them a real feature for our city. So we met with Representative Karen Castro-Dentel recently. Ms. Lisa Early was there, Rodney, and a couple of our staff, and it was a great meeting. She's looking forward to this, so let's please put that on the list of items that we need the money for in order to revitalize those parks. Major announcement are the academy, the government academy we've been doing for the past 10 years. It was finally accredited by UCF, so those who join the academy will get CEUs, which is continued education credits. Is a big thing for us in the city, along with the Mayor's Academy, because it's about informing people. The mayor was talking when he first started about unity, and I think a lot of the issues that are going around our nation in terms of division is because people don't know enough about government, and they don't make the attempt to know more. I think if we knew more, we would put partisanship aside and we would work together for the needs of the people. I often say that the needs of the people don't have a party label, they don't have social status, gender, religion. What they need is commitment. And this commitment is attained through good information. And as my friend from the Florida League of Cities said before, that those who serve the people those who are closest to the people serve the people best. That was Thomas Jefferson, by the way, who said that. And it's true. But in order for us to serve the people and for the people to be in full contact with the city, they need to be empowered with knowledge. And I think on this day and age, it's not going around enough. We need to really empower our people with knowledge of government and be better citizens and be better stewards of what we're doing here. With that being said, Tuesday, June 25th, OPD Hispanic Seniors Safety Summit at the Englewood Center was a great event. I want to thank the chief. I want to thank the fire department for showing up and helping our seniors understanding better how we can save lives. So thank you so much for that. And the staff from Englewood and our staff from the city, also from Family Parks and Recreation. Wednesday, June 25th, I had a chance to spend some time with my brother's keeper, and I will never regret pushing for that program to be expanded all over the city, because it's a great program. Lisa, your team is doing a great job. Those kids are learning great behavior, and when we keep them as busy as we keep them, at the end of the day, they go home, they crash, and that also deters crimes in our communities. And we've seen crime going down in double digits in District 2, and I'm pretty sure in other districts too. I can only attest for District 2 right now. So, on Tuesday, July 9th, we'll have the After School All-Stars program. We have a backpack stuffing event at Carver Middle School, and it was a great event. Talk about an assembly line. That was a lot of fun. So, and I know a lot of kids will be recipients of this pack, and we're going to get them ready for school. Wednesday, July 10th, Neighborhood Watch meeting at Woodgate with OPD also. OPD, thank you for staying on top of issues. when we're proactive with the community, it pays back. It pays back in terms of crime and in terms of getting to know each other. And when you know each other, you know who doesn't belong there, and that helps people calling the police and giving better descriptions and helping us out better. And Juneteenth sponsorship reception with Senator Thompson was that was July 12th, couple of 2-3 days ago. I want to thank Senator Thompson for this event. She was thanking everybody who was involved in Juneteenth around the city and the efforts to make people aware of history. That's something that we also need to work on, make sure that people understand and know about our history so we don't make the same mistakes again, especially in a nation that is as divided as it is now. And that's all I have, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Stewart.
Thank you, Mayor. And let me start by saying also congratulations to you and to Commissioner Sheehan. It is an honor to continue to serve our community, and of course, an honor to serve alongside of each of you. So thank you very much. A couple of things I want to share from the community. The first is we had the Dueling Dragons had a mini boat festival. I guess probably about 10 days ago or so. It was a wonderful time to be out there. It's great seeing those kids mentoring with OPD, mentoring with other first responders, and getting on the boat. It was a lot of fun to watch them work together. So I encourage anybody who's looking for a place to support something, there would be a great place to send some of your effort and some of your money. So congratulations to Andrea Lescu. The College Park Neighborhood Association, College Park Main Street did Dog Days of Summer a couple of weeks ago. It was kind of nice. It was all kind of shut down the road for a little bit, and we all kind of took our animals and we put them in little baby pools, and it was just a lot of fun to be out in the community. It was a great little way to spend a Saturday afternoon. I appreciate Amelia and her leadership. I'll say congratulations to our Ivanhoe Business of the Month, Ivanhoe Village, Veracity Hair Salon. We got a chance to go over there and visit with her and see some of the work that's going on over there and see what she's done at her place. Coming up on August 7th, we won't meet until afterwards, is the District 3 Annual Safety Splash. That's coming up, and we want you to come over. We have backpack giveaway. We have a lot of games and pool party and hamburgers, and we got an ice cream truck coming, and it's just going to be a lot of fun to get guys out there to enjoy it. And I was told they'll have a special appearance by McGruff, the crime dog. So you get a chance to come and enjoy that. Also, what's coming up is probably a couple of things over the course of the next 2 months, and I want to share with you. We're celebrating the 100th anniversary of Dubs Tread Golf Course. The actual day is December 7th. 2024, and we're going to celebrate it all the way up until that time to enjoy it. So on August 17th, we're having a golf tournament. If you have not gone on to the Dubs Tread, historicdubstread.com, please go on. If you'd like to play, we'd love to have you. And then on September 12th, we're doing a celebration gala over there. All the money and proceeds that we raise are going to the Strength in Orlando and to help support minority and youth golf in our community. So please get a chance to participate. If you want to know more information, do a Google search or contact my office. I'll be glad to help you. On the agenda today, Mayor, let me mention a couple of things. We're going to vote on the master plan for Lou Gardens. And Jennifer, good to see you here. Excited about that. We have been around long enough. I'm only 19 and a half years. I apologize for not being quite so long, but we've been around long enough that we get a chance to see these plans. We see them implemented. We see the importance of it. This is another one of those occasions where we saw some great things happen because the community came together for the last master plan, and I think we're going to see some great things this next time. So congratulations. Let's get that meeting rolling. So on B4, we're doing some redesign back to the Alden and Lake Highland Drive. We had some plans where we were going to move some roads around. Costs have gotten to us where a little bit cost prohibitive. So what we're going to do is going to go back to the original plan over there, and this is the redesign cost for that. On C5, we're approving the settlement of the Edgewater High School lights between the community, neighbors, and Orange County School Board. So we're approving that today. On D7, I'm happy to see that we're getting a little bit of money for the forestry grant and update on our tree inventory. And of course, on J1, Safe Streets and roads grants, I appreciate Congressman Frost and the work he's done. It means a lot to our community, and I've had a wonderful chance to work more closely with his office, and I appreciate the work that they're doing and bringing back some of these grants for us to be able to use here in Orlando. That's all I have, Mayor, so I'd like to move the agenda.
Motion by Commissioner Stewart, second by Commissioner Ortiz. All in favor indicate so by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, and so the motion carries. I'm going to go back to Commissioner Sheehan for a brief update to her update.
Thanks, Mayor. And I'm not feeling well. The Angie folks from Milk District Main Street doing a great job. We're glad to get you funded today.
Okay, if there's no objection, we're going to recess the city council meeting and convene the CRA. And we have the pleasure of having Sherry Gutch address us today.
I'm no David. Thanks for having me today, Mayor and Commissioners.
Hold on, Sherry, let everybody
Okay.
kind of exit that needs to. Okay, now
Okay.
a little calmer.
The first item on your agenda is a facade agreement for 24 West Washington. So if you want to get your bearings a little bit, it is the southwest corner of Court and Washington, where the Philly cheesesteak place is, as well as Gringos, correct? Correct. The proposed improvements include roof, painting, stucco, windows, doors, awning, and exterior lighting. On June 26th, the facade committee recommended approval of the incentive in the amount of $300,000. They are in our focus area. So this is the area where we're targeting an 80-20 match. And the proposed improvements are estimated at $600,000. So staff request approval of the recommended facade agreement.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Rose, second by Commissioner Stewart. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, motion carries.
Great.
Sherry?
The second item on your agenda is another facade agreement for 100 North Orange Avenue. So this is on the northwest corner of Court and Washington, the old Saddle Up space. It's several parcels. The proposed improvements include painting, stucco, windows, doors, awnings, stone and tile work, as well as exterior lighting. On June 26th, the facade committee recommended approval of the incentive in the amount of $400,000. The proposed improvements are estimated at $500,000. Staff requests approval of the recommended facade agreement.
Motion by Commissioner Stewart, second by Commissioner Rose. Discussion, hearing none, all in favor of the motion indicate so by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, and so the motion carries. Sherry, any further business to come before the CRA today?
No further business today.
Then we'll stand
Thank
adjourned.
you.
And we will reconvene the city council meeting. Commissioners, we're going to go to hearings ordinances on first read, but there's a couple of ordinances that relate to things in the downtown. We obviously have made substantial investments there. We have several new incentive programs, and we're trying to make sure that we have a mix of businesses and amenities that appeal to everyone. So I'm going to ask Elizabeth Dang, our City Planning Division Manager, to come and give a presentation related to items 11.1 and ordinances first read number 2. One relates to distance separation for new and expanding nightclubs in downtown, and the other relates to sidewalk cafe modifications. Elizabeth.
Good afternoon, Mayor and City Council members. My name is Elizabeth Dang. I'm the City Planning Division Manager, here today to go over the proposed revisions to the nightclub land development code. So starting with some background, the City Council adopted a moratorium on new nightclubs in the downtown entertainment area on March 20th of 2023. And that was initially scheduled to last for a year. It was extended another 6 months and now will expire on September 20th of this year. Staff was asked to consider potential code amendments to address safety, prevent further concentration of nightclubs, and address the lack of daytime activity caused by some of these businesses. So the goals are to reduce concentration of nightclubs in the DEA, prevent over-concentration of nightclubs outside the DEA, and reduce downtown sidewalk conflicts and protect neighborhoods from the effects of these types of uses. So the first type of change that staff is proposing is in Chapter 64, so not part of the Land Development Code, but it relates to the public city right-of-way and what we call sidewalk cafe permits. So this is administered by the Public Works Department, and they issue permits for a sidewalk cafe, which is your typical tables and chairs and umbrellas and that kind of thing. And what we found was that nightclubs were also getting sidewalk cafe permits, but using them for a slightly different reason. They needed space for queuing areas or other kind of gathering spaces for their patrons. So we've decided to split this into two types of permit. And for both of those permits, it needs to be renewed annually. There's an insurance requirement and a requirement of review of any furnishings. And that permit is revocable if the conditions are not met. The difference here, the sidewalk cafe permit does have a fee, and it does allow the furnishings to remain in the right-of-way outside their business hours. So the tables and chairs can stay up pretty much permanently because we know they're heavy and difficult to move. The difference is for right-of-way utilization, all of that street furniture would be moved out of the right-of-way when the business is not in operating. That means things like stanchions for queuing areas and that kind of thing needs to be taken up off the sidewalk when it's not in use. So that will prevent some of the sidewalk clutter that we've had to deal with in downtown. Next up are changes to the nightclub restrictions in the downtown entertainment area, and I'll show you a map of that in just a moment. But the code proposal is that new nightclubs or expansion of an existing nightclub must be located at least 300 feet from any other nightclub. And the right to own and operate a nightclub applies to the real property and remains with the land even if it's sold to another owner or there's a different management company or a different tenant. So the way our code works, not just for nightclubs, but any legal existing use may remain as what we call a legal non-conforming use, but it may not be expanded unless it meets those distance separation requirements. This shows a map of the downtown entertainment area. You see Colonial on the north, I-4 on the west with a little dip across I-4 for the Kia Center, south to the 408 and east to Roslyn and Magnolia Avenue. So what is the difference between a nightclub and a bar? Those two terms are both defined in our code, and we make sure as part of the review for the alcohol license to review these definitions and make sure we've agreed with the applicant that everybody knows if their business is a nightclub or a bar. And the main difference here is that nightclubs typically have entertainment after midnight, like live bands, DJs, dance floors. They often have a cover charge or offer bottle service or private booths. And those are all what we look for to determine if it's a nightclub. And that is part of a permit review as well, that we would review a floor plan of the business. And a bar is primarily for the sale of alcoholic beverages. There may be some incidental entertainment, but it's not the focus of the establishment. So the goals here of this code amendment are really to promote a healthy downtown ecosystem with a variety of uses. No downtown is successful if it's all office buildings or all residential or all one use. That mix of uses is really what makes a downtown successful. We also want to encourage new uses that serve downtown residents and create a high quality urban neighborhood, because we're encouraging residential in downtown, so we're hoping that more of those incidental businesses like dry cleaners and that kind of thing can be welcomed downtown. A third goal is to avoid the overconcentration of pedestrians on narrow streets during that kind of nighttime rush hour when all the bars and nightclubs close. The sidewalks are usually 5 to 7 feet, which is fine in a residential neighborhood, but if we were building a downtown core from scratch, we would want a wider street network. And our downtown DTO 2.0 does provide some guidance for new streetscapes to make the most of what we have, but it's still a pretty large overconcentration of pedestrians on a fairly narrow street. And further, the goal is to reduce conflicts in streets from loading areas and trash pickup for late night uses. A lot of those uses are in buildings that were retrofitted from other uses. They don't have dedicated loading areas, they don't have dedicated trash areas, so it makes it more complicated to work within our city streets so that all those service uses can be functional. So these code changes really address these specific goals, but they are part of a larger overall strategy as part of DTO 2.0, and not all of those strategies relate to the Land Development Code. So you'll be hearing more about some placemaking and streetscaping projects from DTO, as well as working with other city departments like OPD on more traditional safety measures. We've had a lot of questions about the grandfathering status or legally non-conforming status of existing nightclubs. And just to clarify, a nightclub can be sold or renamed at any time. A legal non-conforming nightclub has up to 6 months to be closed and can then reopen with no further public hearing or anything like that. And that's true of any non-conforming use. But if that work would take longer than 6 months, the code has an option for that nightclub to request a conditional use permit to reestablish the use within 2 years. So that's not something staff can do, but it can go to our municipal planning board and then to city council to approve an extension up to 2 years to reestablish that business. And we understand that there have been some nightclubs that closed during the moratorium and therefore could not reopen. So they will all have the standard deadline. We will assume that their closure date was the date the moratorium gets lifted, which is September 20th. So they have until March 20th to either reopen or seek a conditional use approval. So this is a map of the nightclubs in our downtown entertainment area, and you can see there's 2 in the northern blocks, and the rest are clustered between Washington, Magnolia, Church, and Orange. So any area that is not shaded in blue is still eligible for a new nightclub, which means there is still a possibility for growth in this type of business within downtown, just not concentrated in these few blocks along Orange and Church. So I know that image is hard to see, so here is a close-up. You can see the blocks here: Washington, Wall Street, Central, Pine, Church, Orange, and Magnolia. This is where the majority of these businesses are located.
Mayor, real quick question. What's the scale on this? Give me an idea of just of the width of the...
I don't have that handy, but we do know our typical block is about 300 feet. So if you look between Church and Pine, I would estimate that's about 300 feet.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. So in terms of establishing a distance separation requirement, Orlando's really not breaking new ground with doing this type of ordinance. It's fairly common across Florida. So here's some examples from other jurisdictions. Most, in fact, are more restrictive than Orlando. For example, Daytona Beach has a 500-foot distance separation. Delray Beach has 750 feet, and they include bars as well as nightclubs. Miami's varies depending on the zoning district from 500 to 1,500 feet. And so every local government kind of comes up with that recommendation based on their own context. And we at the city came up with 300 feet based on that typical block length in downtown. So as I mentioned before, the Land Development Code Amendment is just one of many initiatives related to improving downtown. So the city's after midnight sales permit is ongoing, and there's no changes proposed as part of these code amendments. And furthermore, the CRA has a number of incentive programs that are designed to help property owners and tenants convert to new uses. So we recognize that a nightclub may not be something someone wants to carry on for the long term. They would be eligible for facade grants, incentives to bring in new retail and restaurant, and that is through the CRA process. So the timeline here, the planning board recommended approval on June 18th. Scheduled for today is approval of the minutes as well as this first reading. And if approved, we will schedule the second reading for August 12th. And the effective date would be on September 21st, which is the day after the moratorium expires. I'm available if you have any questions.
Okay, questions for Elizabeth? Commissioner Ortiz.
Thank you. Thank you, Elizabeth, for that presentation. I appreciate it. I have a few questions because of, we have some history with downtown. For example, Church Street used to be all bars at one time and clubs and all this and that, and we managed it pretty good back in the day. So although I like to see some new, I guess, parameters being established, but I think we have not exhausted all our resources yet in terms of being able to control whatever it is that's happening downtown. So I don't know to what extent this may be a little premature. I think we could probably also adopt other things. But I have some questions. The grace period is going to be 6 months, right? Because of the pandemic and other things, some bars had to close and whatnot. So we are giving them 6 months for them to reassess, rethink and whatnot, and re-engage.
Well, not just them, but any non-conforming use in our code, if it closes, they have up to 6 months to reestablish for whatever reason. So that's true regardless of the pandemic.
Okay. You talk about a larger strategy that we have in order to change the facade of downtown. I would like to hear what the strategy is before I make a decision on this, because I don't want to find our city to be empty, to become a ghost town at night. And I think there's other measures that we should definitely be taking that I don't know if we have in terms of safety and security, opening the roads, and I mentioned this before, cameras in our public parking lots, tag readers, which would allow us to have a lot more information and deter, by all means, all kinds of incidents happening in our parking lots, signage, letting people know that what's going on in terms of, I think that would also help us tremendously. So what I asked for a report, but I didn't get it, to see what kind of incidents we have been having downtown lately. I would love to see the amount of incidents that are happening in some of these places. There's other issues too. It has to do with also with the amount of money that some of these stakeholders are paying. I like to make it more equitable, in a sense that there's a bunch of people that have clubs and bars also that are not contributing, yet they're having incidents over there. So I don't know if we can possibly extend this.
As we said, the moratorium is expiring in September, so that's what we have the deadline to work with. And what we used that moratorium for was specifically for land development code amendments. So that's what we're proposing. The other items are really outside of the scope of what we can do in the land development code, and I know our team through the CRA and OPD has done a lot of outreach on all of those other initiatives, and if we need to continue that, we certainly can. But I think each of those departments can tell you more about their initiatives that they're working on.
So I have to.
Commissioner, there's two different things too. There's the separation and then there's the safety issue, right? So two different things. I can get you information on a weekly basis on what happens every weekend, and it's usually 20 to 30 arrests, 20 or so guns taken away from people, and a myriad of fights downtown.
By all means, Mayor, and I'm aware of that because I got with the chief and I've asked him questions about this. I'm getting reports, and he's doing a great job in giving us reports about what's going on. A lot of these issues are happening in parking lots, but I don't think we have taken the measures to protect these parking lots as we should. We should put more cameras and to be able to identify what's going on over there. I think it would also help us getting rid of the amount of police officers, not that I want to, but it will probably allow us to concentrate officers in other areas and tag readers or whatnot, and I think it has to be a joint effort in terms of this. I guess I'm not ready to accept something like this until I see some other measures that we need to take in order to make our downtown. Because I think we can maintain viability, or we can maintain those people coming downtown and in a safe fashion and continue with our projects by all means, as there's people that are, and the separation, we can establish this too. I don't see a problem with that, but we also need to take other measures.
Okay. We do have Sherry Gutch here representing the CRA. Mayor, if you wanted to hear from her, I'm sure she could expand on some of that.
Are you asking about the various measures that we've taken?
Well, what is being presented here in terms of separation, because I'm thinking, for example, take Church Street, right? Church Street has historically been a place where that's where the big concentrations of bars and clubs were. And we were able to manage that back in the days. And now, I guess we can't. And I'm wondering how come, what are we doing differently that we're not managing? So,
well, the difference is there weren't so many on Orange Avenue and Pine Street and Church Street and all the other streets
It
where
was
they've
pretty much
grown
Church
up.
Station and Nichols Alley back
Right,
then.
yeah, and it was run by kind of a big corporate group that,
but we had Church Street from Garland to Orange, it was packed with clubs back in the, because I remember, as a police officer, I worked.
I mean, I went to
those
Church
areas.
Street, so I remember Nickel Beer Night very well, but it was one street. So we're
Exactly.
dealing with our central business district, which is also our entertainment district, and the fact that we have this concentration of clubs that create a party atmosphere in the street every night on the weekend. It's recovering from a Mardi Gras every weekend. So it's a challenge for us, and that's why we're doing all these other programs to try to bring in investment on the other side.
Do we have people proposing?
Oh, yeah, we have
to
got a
come
lot
in?
of restaurants,
Okay,
new restaurants
so you
coming
see
in and things like that.
That's one of the things, we have not been given that information. That's
Well,
what I'm
they
saying,
come
that's a
before you,
problem.
Commissioner, they
Commissioner.
come to council.
They come to council. So they've been coming before you. So I understand what you're saying, though. I mean, from a personal level, I don't think this impacts the existing businesses downtown. So it impacts those that are coming. And so that's the concern, is if we allow the moratorium to expire, we're going to have more nightclubs within that area, when the existing nightclubs can stay. So.
Okay.
You good, Commissioner? Or, actually, I mean, are you done, Commissioner?
Yes, I am not good with what's going, but I guess I'm done with this. I think I have proposed other measures, but I guess they have gone to deaf ears. So I guess we'll just have to deal with what we have to deal. So,
Okay. Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Rose.
okay.
Thriving businesses, happy residents, and joyful visitors are some of the goals for downtown, and keeping everyone safe in the process is a priority. In recent years, there have been shootings after the midnight hour. OPD has made adjustments, staff has made adjustments, businesses have made adjustments, and some of those adjustments might not have been easy for all parties included, but there has been a decrease in crime. Some potentially fatal weapons have been taken off of the streets, and we are working through these growing pains. There were some concerns recently with road closures at 11 p.m., and OPD has since reopened those streets and has a new safety protocol in place for closing the roads after midnight. Last week, Tuesday, city staff and myself hosted a meeting with the bars and the nightclubs to discuss some of the issues with the changes in this proposed code amendment. We were able to talk through some of the concerns, and staff is diligently working to address those concerns. Everyone in attendance was reminded to reach out to myself or OPD if there are changes they have or concerns, and we will work with them. Staff is working, and so and it's actually two pieces, but the AMS has been a looming conversation, and staff is working through a proposal to reduce the AMS, which has been a big concern for some of the larger nightclubs. And as like Commissioner Ortiz said, how do we ensure that everyone is partaking in keeping downtown safe with the additional officers who are needed for nightlife? The new proposal of 300 feet separation for future nightclubs was part of the 2016 nighttime economy study that we did right here at City Hall with many of the bars and the nightclubs that are still in existence. I want to thank staff because, as requested, they provided a grandfathered list, and it is stated that there is an opportunity over the next 2 months for new nightclubs to open. One of the concerns I do have, and I will continue to share, is the 6-month closure with the 2-year extension. Understanding that the lease, the nightclub portion goes with the landlord. A lot of the bars in the nightclub, a lot of the businesses downtown have long-term leases, so I've expressed the concern. If someone does leave and break their lease, I'm not sure that 6 months is enough time for a new tenant to be brought in. And so I'd like staff to reconsider that as we're going into the second reading to see if we can maybe potentially go to staff review, because there are some administrative changes, administrative things that we can do, the planning department does. I'm not sure that, again, 6 months is enough time. If a tenant decides that they're going to break their lease, I'm not sure that that gives the property owner, and especially some of the properties that have been here for decades. I want to say this: as we work to create a thriving downtown with diverse businesses, guests, and the residents, we have to work on ways, and we will continue to work on ways to keep everyone safe. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner. All right, thank you, Elizabeth. So this relates to 2 different ordinances. Madam Clerk, if you could go to start with hearings, ordinances, first read, ordinance 2431, which is the distance separation ordinance.
Ordinance number 2024-31, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Orlando, Florida, relating to nightclubs within the downtown entertainment area and special use permits for late-night uses within the downtown entertainment area, amending Chapter 58, Part 1B of the Land Development Code entitled Zoning Tables, amending Chapter 58, Part 4B of the Land Development Code entitled Alcoholic Beverage Establishments, amending Chapter 65, Part 5A, Section 65.544 of the Land Development Code entitled Late Night Uses in the Downtown Entertainment Area, providing legislative findings, and for codification, correction of scrivener's error, severability, and an effective date.
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Sheehan, second by Commissioner Stewart. I do have 2 requests from the public to speak, so we will take them. First up is Nathan Butler.
Thank you. Good afternoon. My name is Nathan Butler. I work with HKS Architects at 225 East Robinson Street, and I'm also the chair of the Downtown Orlando Partnership Board of Directors with offices at 333 Garland Street as well. And I'm here to speak in favor of this amendment, believing that it promotes a diversity of businesses within the downtown Orlando core, and that it will foster a resilient and sustainable local economy, and that it will create space for a wider variety of experiences in the downtown Orlando core, and that it will also generate a reasonable distribution of business uses that will avoid a concentration of businesses that have mutual but competing interests and priorities. So thank you very much for this opportunity.
Thank you. Okay, David Semino.
Good afternoon. My name is David Semino, 1200 North Lake Sibley Drive, Bedlam, Florida. Good afternoon, Honorable Mayor and Commissioners. I would like personally to thank the city staff for working with us regarding the ordinance change, especially Sherry, David Perella, Justin, Chief Eric Smith, David Arnott, Lillian, and every other staff member involved. Moving forward, we all share the same vision for downtown Orlando, a vibrant, safe, diverse, multidimensional commerce hub. In my opinion, and of others achieving our vision for downtown will be 5 to 7 years process. The challenge is ensuring that from the perspective of business owners, the city's vision and legal aspects, we navigate the journey effectively. The current 300 feet nightclub ordinance takes the right of the property owner away and transfer it to the tenant. For example, if a tenant decides not to apply for nightclub licenses due to the additional costs associated with AMA's rules and regulation, the property owner has no recourse to take action because of the existing lease that precedes the new ordinance. The grandfather rule needs to be applied to the property owner. not to the tenant. The ordinance as it stands strips property owner of the right and unfairly transfer them to the tenant. Without this adjustment, businesses that have been downtown for years could be forced to go out of business. I would appreciate if the city would review and consider the existing leases that precede this ordinance. Thank you for your attention and consideration. Any questions?
Any questions? Commissioner?
Oh, I'm sorry, no questions. I'm sorry, just comments, sorry.
Yes? Thank you.
Okay, we'll move to discussion then. Commissioner Gray.
Great, thank you, Mayor. Look, I appreciate you, everybody coming, but look, I'll sound like a broken record. We have been talking about this for years, and the reality is, I'm looking at a report from the chief, Eric Smith, for June, and here are the statistics from OPD. In the month of June, arrests 144, fights 22, disturbances 37, firearms seized 24, contacts in parking garage 352. If that's the kind of downtown we want at night, we got it. But I don't think that's what we want. And I would tell you, we spend way too much time talking about the nighttime economy. What we need to be talking about more is the daytime economy. Because the reason is, you're not gonna get people, look, hybrid workforce is here to stay. But where the real tax money is, the vibrancy of downtown, is getting workers and visitors back downtown. And there's no place for those folks to either shop and or dine at night. I've said it before, and I challenge anybody, give me 6 restaurants in downtown Orlando that have tablecloths. 6. You can't do it. They're not, because we have, by our own numbers, 50 bars, and as I just said, very few fine dining restaurants. We're way out of whack. And as long as we do this kind of stuff, it's not going to change. And I get frustrated because I continue to hear from the folks in the nighttime economy that things won't work. Nobody from the nighttime economy has come here and given us a proposal. We're trying to come up with ideas to fix this, and every time we do, we hear from folks that things just don't work. They're not right. Whether it's doing the additional security, closing the parking garages, whatever it might be. So again, I understand there's people that are trying to make a living doing this. They have investments, and I don't think anybody's trying to flush that out. But the reality is, as long as we have 58 bars in downtown Orlando and less than 6 fine dining establishments, we are never going to get high-end employers to want to move their headquarters to downtown Orlando and create higher paying jobs and get the hotels and the restaurants and the retail, because nighttime is unsafe and we just have a bad reputation. And the longer we keep goofing around with stuff like this, the harder it's going to be for us to turn that reputation around. It's going to take us a while. So look, I'm not opposed to this, it's fine, but when you're giving people 6 months to fix a problem, if somebody goes out of business, you're not, I would bet you if we come back in a couple years, how many bars have really closed down? Maybe a handful, but okay, that means we still have 45 bars, 40 bars. We're out of whack. As I've said before, the good operators will figure out a way to survive and make money. And in the meantime, all the bad operators are bringing these kind of folks downtown. The customer base coming downtown is just unsafe, and it's a drain on our resources, and it's not helping Orlando and the kind of reputation I think we need in the daytime economy to get workers back, get them energized with good dining, good shopping, things to do. And I'll just close with this. Ask 10 of your friends, hey, let's, grab your significant other, let's go downtown for dinner Friday night in Orlando at 9 o'clock. I'll get a table. I bet you don't find anybody that wants to go with you because they know it's unsafe. So what do people do? They stay away, and we have folks that come downtown that are creating the problems that we're seeing. So thank you for letting me ramble. I'm sorry, but guys, we've been talking about this for years. We're not going to solve it until, in my opinion, we need to close the bars at midnight, let everybody have their fun, and then everybody goes home at midnight. And then I think that will open the door for other folks to come down. Last thing, and I apologize. if somebody wants to do a fine dining restaurant, and some of you folks out here know it better than I do, but if you were doing a 6,000 square foot restaurant, which is probably a standard size, let's even call it 5, to finish that space and create a restaurant, it's at least $100 to $150 a square foot. So you're asking somebody to invest $500,000 to open a restaurant, a fine dining restaurant downtown. When this kind of activity happens at night, who's going to make that investment? Nobody. So forgive me, Mayor, but I just think we're continuing to kind of kick the can around. We're not going to solve the problem with this ordinance. We've got to take quicker action and more stringent action, or we're going to be doing this for another several years. Thank you, sir.
You get to ramble every once in a while, Commissioner, since you don't do it that often. Commissioner Burns?
All right, thank you, Mayor. I wanted Sherry to respond to the gentleman's comment regarding the grandfathering. And is it in fact true that it rests with the tenant and not the property owner?
I mean, typically, yes. I mean, the grandfathering runs with the business owner, just like it's like a Maxine's or a 903 Mills, same type of thing. But I talked to David. He's got a different situation with a tenant of his that's a restaurant. So we're going to try to work with him on the days, like the 6 months versus 2 years, and having September 21st be the date that he works from. So he has an opportunity now to keep his tenant there, as well as potentially go through a conditional use process if that's what he chooses to do. So, yeah. And then if they sell, it's the same thing. So if they sell 2 years from now, they have 6 months and then 2 years. So same type of thing that we do citywide right now.
All right, thank you.
Did I say that right?
That's all,
Elizabeth?
Mayor.
Okay.
Okay, further discussion, hearing none, all in favor of the motion indicate so by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed?
No.
Raise your hand if you voted no. Okay, 6-1. Okay, let's take up the other ordinance, Madam Clerk, that relates to the sidewalk cafes. So that's down under 13 ordinances, first read, number 2.
Mayor, before that, we have a 501 vote.
Oh, yeah, those old 501 things. Okay, Commissioners, the ordinance that we just voted on requires a public hearing after 5 o'clock unless we vote by a supermajority to hold the second public hearing at our normal city council meeting time. Staff recommends that we hold the second public hearing at our next available regularly scheduled city council meeting beginning at 2 o'clock. Do I hear such a motion?
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Sheehan, second by Commissioner Burns. All in favor indicate so by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, motion carries. Now let's move to the sidewalk cafe, which is 2430.
Ordinance number 2024-30, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Orlando, Florida, relating to the use of public rights-of-way for sidewalk cafes and rights-of-way utilization areas, amending Chapter 54 entitled Streets and Sidewalks, providing for severability, codification, correction, scrivener's error, and an effective date.
Motion by Commissioner Sheehan, second by Commissioner Burns. I don't have any request for public testimony, discussion among commissioners. Hearing none, all in favor of the motion indicate so by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, and so the motion carries. Okay, we'll return to the order that's printed in the agenda. So that'd be hearings, ordinances, second reading, number 1.
Ordinance number 2024-26, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Orlando, Florida, amending and restating the land development regulations of the Amherst Oaks Land Development relating to certain land generally located west of I-4, north of Colonial Drive, east of Peachtree Road, and south of Lake Concord, and comprised of approximately 1.6 acres of land, providing for amendment of the city's official zoning map, providing for severability, correction of scrivener's error, permit disclaimer, and an effective date.
Motion by Commissioner Stewart, second by Commissioner Sheehan. I have no request to speak on this matter. Discussion? We have commissioners that want to speak. Commissioner Stewart?
Let me share a couple things. We've been trying to figure out how to do some additional signage, and I'm really concerned about direction to this location. And I think we're going to just kind of back off on it right now, but I still have a lot of concern. And it has to do not so much with where we know that it is, it's how you get there. And the way the current configuration is, I think it's lending itself having people violating the law and run the risk of people getting hurt on their way there. So I'm going to kind of back off a little bit. Let's see how it works, that we can kind of come up with some idea about how we can have better signage, address the Google and Waze, and see how they're routing people there, because today, if you came from Spring Lake and you came down Colonial Drive, it sends you right on Lake Dot up to right leg dot up to Amelia and left across the interstate and back down the interstate and then back around to the corner to get to that location. And I have a concern that you got a child with a broken arm in the car. You do not care about that. You're going to get there because you can see the sign and you get there as fast as you possibly can. And but I understand we have an agreement. We have some other things we have to kind of work around. But I still am deeply concerned that we're getting ready to invite somebody to come down Colonial Drive and run against traffic to go into a driveway, and I don't like that that idea at all. So, I'm going to reluctantly approve it. Vote for a mayor, but I think we need to make sure we're always staying on top of the directions, the safety of our citizens.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Rose.
I have shared with the team that should this pass, I seek to work with the developer and the builders to look at job opportunities because of its close proximity to District 5, making sure that the residents in the community can get the job training for both the construction as well as the future job opportunities. And so those that are representing here, I just hope that you would hear that and take that back to your team. Thank you.
Okay, further discussion, hearing none, all in favor of the motion indicate so by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, motion carries. Number 2, Madam Clerk.
Ordinance number 2024-27, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Orlando, Florida, amending the land development regulations of the Weehawhoody Planned Development Zoning District, such district being comprised of approximately 1,262 acres and generally located north of Moss Park Road, south of State Road 528, and east of State Road 417, providing for severability, correction of scrivener's error, and an effective date.
Move to adopt.
Motion by Commissioner Gray. Second by Commissioner Sheehan. I have no requests from the public. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor of the motion indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. Okay, ordinances first read, number 1.
Ordinance number 2024-28, an ordinance of the City of Orlando, Florida, annexing to the corporate limits of the city certain land generally located north of Silver Star Road, east of Eunice Avenue, west of North John Young Parkway, and south of Shader Road, and comprised of 6.32 acres of land, more or less, and amending the city's boundary description, amending the city's adopted growth management plan to designate the property as industrial, on the city's official future land use maps, designating the property as industrial general with the Wekiva overlay district on the city's official zoning maps, providing for amendment of the city's official future land use and zoning maps, providing for severability, correction of scrivener's error, permit disclaimer, and an effective date.
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Stewart, second by Commissioner Rose. I have no requests for input from the public. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor of the motion indicate so by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, and so the motion carries. That concludes the agended business of the Orlando City Council for today. Ed, can you get us prepared for general appearance?